G'day guys, Yosti from Iron Edge here. Today we're going to have a look at some basic progressions to one of my all-time favourite exercises, the Power Rings Muscle Up. Essentially, the muscle up is a full range chin up, followed by a transition to a full range dip, then eccentrically controlled in reverse. Basically combining two already great upper body strength exercises into one fluid, vertical pull to push dynamic movement. From a functional perspective, this exercise takes you from under things to over things, making it a great strength and conditioning exercise for a stack of different applications. That of course isn't just restricted just to the power rings. There really isn't that many exercises that are as demanding or as rewarding as the good old muscle up, especially in terms of strength development throughout the entirety of the upper body and core musculature. But before you can start, there are 3 prerequisites you need to develop before you can begin your rings muscle up journey. And first is becoming very familiar with the false grip. Simply put, the false grip is a way to hold the rings and allows you to place your wrist above the height of the rings to aid you in the transition phase between the chin up to the dip. Slide your hands over the rings all the way to your wrist. Curl your wrist over and wrap your fingers around the rings for a solid grip. Use some tape to protect the wrist against rubbing on those high reps and chalk for some extra grip. Second on the list is a full range false grip chin up. Utilising the false grip, perform a chin up from a full hang position with straight arms, drawing the rings right into the chest. Remember, the further you can bring the rings down to the chest or the higher you can lift your body, the easier the transition will be. Also, make sure you draw your elbows close into the body and minimise any kind of flaring. Third up is a solid full range dip. Starting in a good tall position, lower yourself down as far as you can go so that the rings are virtually sitting in your armpits. Then push yourself back into that top position. As a basic strength rule of thumb, once you can perform 14 to 16 full range chin-ups and dips, you are well strong enough to tackle the rings muscle up. Now comes the fun part, the transition. But get this right and the muscle up will simply fall into place. The action looks like this. The rings come down onto the chest and then travel in a tight arc across the chest as your hips go back and your chest comes forward. But don't lose that false grip in the process. Pushing your nose and chin forward at this stage can really help you transition that body weight forward. Keep drawing the rings tight and close to the body until they make it all the way into that deep dip position. Then push yourself up. Once at the top, control the descent and reverse the process, keeping everything close and tight. Once again, this time without the rings, you want to draw them right down into the chest, nice and tight, moving them in an arc whilst pushing your hips back and your head forward, and then bring them back until they're in line with the armpit, and then push yourself up. If you should let your false grip slip, the exercise will become very difficult. Also, for every centimetre that the rings deviate from the body, or if your elbows flare, the exercise will become exponentially harder. To help practice the transition phase unloaded, set yourself up lying back with your knees on the ground and your arms completely straight. Don't forget that false grip. Lifting yourself up with the assistance of your legs, tucking your elbows in and keeping the rings as close as you can to your body. Draw the rings as close to your chest in an arc, pushing your hips back and your head forward. Use your legs to lighten the load so you can get the action perfectly. Once you have drawn the rings all the way back, push yourself up from that deep dip position. Once again, control the descent and use your legs to control your body weight as you perfect the transition in reverse. Once you are confident with the transition, feel free to smash out a muscle up. Just remember, keep the rings super close to the body, keep your elbows tucked and not flared, keep a strong hold on that false grip, and practice, practice, practice. Once you get going, they're sadistically addictive and one of the best pound for pound strength exercises for the upper body going around. Don't forget to check us out at ironedge.com.au for further training tips and for all your equipment needs.